We're live.
Okay. Good to go? Yes? All right. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is 6:02 p.m. on Tuesday, March 16th. And first order of business, please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Next up, roll call. Ms. Reed.
Yes, Lauren C. Slack. Dale Hine.
Here.
Jillian Emmert.
Here.
Jason Bashaw.
Here.
Christy Cooper.
Here.
Carol Cunningham.
Here.
Sean McGinley. Donald Panto.
Here.
And Dwayne Dietrich.
Here. Looks like we have a quorum, so on we go. Notice of executive sessions. We have not had any executive sessions since the last one that we had on our general session. Do we have any audience input on agenda items for item number 5? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on. Board approvals, number 6A. First order is to intent to award bid/contract alumni field renovation project general contractor. Number 1, to determine the lowest responsible bidder for such contract is, and forgive me if I mispronounce it, Uric Construction Incorporated. And number 2, award the general construction contract for the alumni field renovation project to Uric Construction Inc. in the amount of $639,000, conditioned upon Uric Construction Inc. providing in a timely manner all bonds, insurance certificates, certifications, clearances, and other documents required under the contract documents. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Jillian.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Bob, is there any more update on the right away?
I do know that, well, I can tell you that I specifically spoke with Jeff McCose today. While he's not, the authority necessarily on making any changes, he does understand the situations. I did talk with him. I know Jamie and I both have calls into Steve Travers, but we have not had a response yet.
So how does that affect if they don't allow it?
I'll have to defer to Jamie, I think, on that one. Is Jamie on here?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right. The pipe is not under the building. And from the conversation you had today, Bob, there was not concern as far as accessing the pipe since it was going to be between the curb and the edge of the building. So I don't think we have a formal notice from the borough, but I don't see any issues.
That's not my question. My question is, what if they do deny it?
I have not heard that they're denying it at this point after the conversations with the water authority member. If they deny it right now, then obviously you wouldn't be able to put the addition there. So if you want to hold off on this and wait until you get something in writing from the borough, you can do that.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments? What do you think the probability is that there'll be some type of issue?
Well, I think the pipe is perfectly accessible. It's been replaced within the past 10 years. It's a straight run of pipe. As after talking to the authority representative today, there was not great concern. If we need to follow up tomorrow again with Mr. Travers, who's not been able to respond as of yet, we can solidify that for you. But one option is to award on the basis of receiving that from the borough.
Mr. Nur, what's your opinion on us building the building in the right of way?
Oh, no, you're not going to do that. I mean, either they're going to, I mean, I agree that with what Jamie said, that if there's a concern that we need to have their approval, then your approval of any of these contracts should be subject to you getting, right away.
Because I don't know if you realize it, but the building is in there right away.
Yeah,
It's-
but that can't happen. I mean, we have to get their approval.
Let's just make sure we use the appropriate terms. It's in a water line easement. Let's not confuse that with a right of way. They are similar, but they are definitely different.
Okay, so you're saying there is an easement underneath where the building is going to be?
There's a easement on either side of the water line for the purposes of being able to access the water line if it ever needs to be repaired. The water line is not underneath the building or the building foundation. It is next to it. And so we will end up exposing it partially when we build the building, but it'll still be accessible after the building is in place for repairs.
Well, so are you saying, Jamie, that this easement is, that we are within the scope of the easement? In other words, the easements usually will say things like, you can, do normal things on the surface. You just can't put structures over it or block it in such a fashion that we can't use it to access it. But it doesn't sound like we're actually interfering with the easement at all then, are we?
No, correct. The building is within the easement on either side of the pipe, but we're not on top of the pipe such that it cannot be accessed. So if a repair needed to be made, for instance, in that straight run of pipe, we do have a sidewalk that's next to it that would come up in order to enact the repair, but the building itself would not be moved in order to enact the repair on a pipe.
And so, I mean, is there some kind of, written language about the exact scope of this easement, or is it just marked on some plan as waterline easement without anything further being said?
I don't know what's been done in the past there with respect to the easement. I believe the width of the easement is either 20 or 25 feet. And that's usually so that you'd have a machine that can parallel the line and remove it. But there's certainly space in order to enact a repair. So I don't know anything about prior language, and that's what we're trying to get from Mr. Travers.
And Dave, if I may just interject, this is the water line easement we did probably 7 or 8 years ago. Took quite a while to have the borough draw up their piece and our piece. And when we put the new water line in, that I can't recall exactly if it was, I don't think it was the middle school renovation. I think it may have been the transportation pole building and that area over there. And they required us to put a new water line in, and then also an easement along with it. Now,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah,
I
so
just wasn't aware that
water
what we were doing here could possibly be interfering with it.
We're within 4 feet of the water line, Dave. The end of the building is within, I measured it again today. It's within 4 feet of the line. And the easement, I had heard 30 feet, but I'm not, 100% sure of that, which would mean we'd have to be 14 feet. 14 feet off that line. So the building will be in the easement.
Yeah, there's no question. The building itself is in the easement. It's not an issue with as far as accessibility to the line itself. When I talked with Jeff today, actually, having a sidewalk on top, he's not concerned at all about that. It's the accessibility, like was mentioned, with equipment. Fortunately, it's a road on the other side, so there's a lot of space. But technically speaking, it's within that water line easement to some extent. So we should do, I mean, there should be, condition upon, whatever the right terminology is there, Dave.
Yeah, we really should. I mean, in an ideal world, I mean, if you really wanted to paper this thing right, you would revise the easement, maybe give them some additional land on the other side so that if there was an issue about, having access that, that they got some, that it wasn't too tight an area to be able to access it or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but in an ideal world, you would get them to specifically waive off, what we want to do is okay. And, and then record that. That would be ideal. More practically, at a minimum, you want to have, something from them in writing, approved by council that says, what you're, that we approve what you want to do, as not being inconsistent with our easement. Because you really don't want to find yourself in a spot where somebody says, okay, move your building,
So does that impact the motion that's on the agenda? Does that have to be amended to put those conditions in?
Well, I mean, if the concern that you have is if they don't agree to let you do this, then we really can't go forward and with this project. Then, obviously you don't want to have a contract that we have signed with somebody that says build something and then we have to tell them stop. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that you should make all of these approvals subject to the approval of the borough, or delay the approval until you get the approval of the borough.
I would suggest we make it subject to the approval of the borough.
I don't have a problem with either of those.
Okay. So this would, to revise the motion, I would imagine we need another approval and second, right? Is that correct?
Sure, let's do that.
To the
Dwayne, real
amendment?
quickly, before we go on, so if we amend it and we approve it with the intent that they're going to approve it, that, Dwayne, you're saying that has to go, or somebody said, Dave, it has to go through council, get a written agreement, so this could take, when's the next council meeting, Dale?
First Monday of the month. They're actually having a voting meeting on the last Monday of this month because they're hiring a police officer. So that's going to be a voting meeting. That I could imagine that, I don't know if they have to advertise or what they got to do with this. So, but they're having a voting meeting the last Monday of this month, and then their regular meeting is the first Monday of next month.
How far would this push us back?
Well, I mean, I think what Jamie's suggesting, and I think it makes sense, is, the contractors can get their act together and start getting the paperwork done. It's just that we wouldn't sign the contract until we actually knew that we were not going to have a problem.
Okay, so there's
But
things
they can
behind
at
something.
least get the rest of the process moving along, but which doesn't happen. It's not a long process, but whatever it is, there's no reason to stop that from happening until we, wait for the borough to get that, as long as everybody's fairly comfortable that we're going to get that, and I don't see there's a reason why we would be concerned about it, because they've certainly had ample opportunity to complain about it if they had a problem with it. So I don't anticipate a problem. So I think it makes sense for us to go forward and award the contract conditioned upon us receiving the approval of the borough to construct the building, even though it's impinging in the easement. That they would agree that what our activities are not in fact impinging on their easement, and that they waive any claim that it does. And as long as they do that, then you would actually be ready to sign your actual contracts and go forward. But we can get up to that point in the meantime.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to amend item 6A, the intent to award the bid to contract Alumni Field Renovation Project General Contractor to include the language of at the end, subject to the approval of the Borough of Catasauqua.
As to interference with the water line easement.
As to the water line easement. Okay, so do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, Carol.
Do I have a second?
Jillian,
Okay, any additional comments, questions, concerns? Seeing and hearing none, this is a roll call, please.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Alert from mail. Kelly.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
yes,
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Maybe if my computer decides to cooperate. Here we go. Item 6B, intent to award bid contract alumni field renovation project electrical contractor. 1, determine the lowest possible bidder for such contract is Wind Gap Electric Incorporated. And 2, award the general construction contract for the alumni field renovation project to Wind Gap Electric Incorporated in the amount of, I'm going to pause here, and well, in the amount of $189,985, conditioned upon Wind Gap Electric Inc. providing in a timely manner all bonds, insurance certificates, certifications, clearances, and other documents required under the contract documents. Award the addendums, number 1 in the amount of $3,054, and number 2 in the amount of $139,200, conditioned upon Wind Gap Electric providing in a timely manner all bonds, insurance certificates, certification, clearances, and other documents required under the contract documents, subject to the approval of the Borough of Catasauqua as to the water line easement.
If I may just interject, I think the dollar amount, Dale, this is the one, correct? The electrical should be
Right.
$126,206.
Instead of 189,985. The other two amounts are correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so the number, the dollar value will be $126,206
Correct.
rather than $189,985.
So moved. Or
Do I have a
second?
second?
Second, Carol.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing and hearing none, this is a roll call, please.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
yes,
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Item 6C, intent to award bid contract alumni field renovation project mechanical contractor. 1, determine that the lowest responsible bidder for such contract is ASL Refrigeration Incorporated. And 2, award the general construction contract for the alumni field renovation project to ASL Refrigeration Incorporated in the amount of $211,899, conditioned upon ASL Refrigeration Incorporated providing in a timely manner all bonds, insurance certificates, certification, clearances, and other documents required under the contract documents, subject to the approval of the Borough of Catasauqua as to the water line easement. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Carol.
Second, Jillian.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing and hearing none, this too is a roll call, please.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
yes,
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Item 6D, intent to award bid contract alumni field renovation project plumbing contractor. 1, determine that the lowest responsible bidder for such contract is Integrity Mechanical Incorporated. And 2, award the general construction contract for the alumni field renovation project to Integrity Mechanical Incorporated in the amount of $189,985, conditioned upon Integrity Mechanical Inc. providing in a timely manner all bonds, insurance certificates, certifications, clearances, and other documents required under the contract documents, subject to the approval of the Borough of Catasauqua as to the water line easement. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Carol.
Second,
Right.
Kristen.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing and hearing none. This too is a roll call, please, Ms. Reed.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
yes,
Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on. Item 7, presentations, audience input on the agenda items. Did we already do that? No, we recognized them before. Do we have any audience input on the agenda items?
We do not.
Thank you, Kathy. Number 8, recognition of guests and visitors. Thanks for joining us, Jamie. Your insight was much appreciated.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much, members of the board, also for the administrative team and the committee that worked on the alumni field project. You worked very hard and looked at a lot of the details, including the detail discussed tonight on the water line. We'll continue to work very hard to move ahead with the project. Very exciting project for the school district, also for the borough and the community. So thank you very much, everyone, for your very hard work over the past COVID year, much of it being virtual. So congratulations. We're looking forward to getting started.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Any other comments for the good of the order?
Sorry, can I just add one quick question, ask one quick question?
Certainly.
In our document here, for the scoreboard, there are 2 options for the scoreboard. Which one is that we're going with? Because it's broken down here, but I don't know which one. There's 2 options that were shown to us.
So on the scoreboard, you have not, we have not made the final selection. We're down to 2 different digital scoreboards.
Okay.
So we're still collecting some information and also working on the pricing for the scoreboard. And so that will be brought to you at a subsequent meeting.
Okay.
And Jason, each of those 2 options are the full blown, video board versus.
Right. Yep.
It's just 2 types.
Yeah, I have those here. Okay, thank you. I didn't know if that was part of all this. Have we, I tried reaching out. I have a contact at school with FedEx, but I haven't heard anything back. A friend of somebody from the advertising department, they won't give me his number for FedEx up here in marketing. It's more them reaching out to me, so I'm kind of like dependent on them. Have we tried reaching out to FedEx, trying to see if they would help us, with any of these costs, considering they're driving right through all our roads and they're a presence in this area?
On a regular basis. Yeah. So yeah, I think now that, we're definitely moving ahead here and we have this type of scoreboard tied to this project, we can definitely reach out and hook them up also with our digital media class, is just my vision. But I've already talked with Adam and Tom on that too. Whoever we entertain those kinds of giving situations, we also kind of do like a learning experience for our students at the high school level, at least, in which maybe they're designing the commercial, the package to be offered to them. So I do know that we have some folks working on like what that presentation will look like to them. So if anybody does have any contacts, it's always, please let me know.
I'll continue to try.
Yeah, they're tough to get through to. I have learned that.
Well, they're out delivering packages. It's tough.
One quick thing today.
Yes.
I drove past the school up there, and the visiting bleachers are starting to come down. They're beginning to, disassemble them and, starting to take the visiting side down. So things are
That's good
progressing.
news.
Things are
Project. Progress. Very good. Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Going once? Going twice? Okay. I would like to have, lastly, a motion to adjourn.
So move, Carol.
Second, Jillian.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nobody? Okay. Abstentions? No? Okay. We're adjourned.
Thank you,
Thanks,
board.
everybody.
Thank you for your
Bye.
support.